Welcome back to the Super Sim series, where I've decided to make just one sim who will gain almost every trait, master every skill, graduate with all of the university degrees, reach the top of every career, and complete every collection. Last episode, our Super Sim Tina thrived as a member of the secret society while completing a computer science degree at Foxbury. But while her studies went well, her love life did not. As Tina entered the tech guru career and completed the computer whiz aspiration, she found out that her boyfriend Sergio was using her, hoping to take advantage of her successful career in order to get a leg up in his own. Unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately depending on how you look at it, this led to a messy and chaotic breakup. Following this, Tina took to the streets of Glimmerbrook to clear her mind. Yes, in a snowstorm. It was because of this heavy snow that she got lost, but after taking many turns and trudging along winding pathways, she stumbled upon something incredible. An archway filled with a mystical light. It appeared to be a magical portal, and after steadying herself for a moment, she mustered up the courage needed to step on through it. Nothing could have prepared Tina for what she saw, not even a charmed marathon. As she emerged from the portal, she could feel the tingle of magic in the air, and in front of her stood a large building that looked like it belonged in a property catalogue for wizards, one that specialized in ugly properties. Something about the people roaming around was a little bit different too. Don't get me wrong, they looked pretty normal, but many of them were riding broomsticks, or at least trying to. No one seemed to mind as Tina let herself into the grand building and snooped around. She found a poorly designed kitchen and a small library-like area where she helped herself do some light reading about wands. It was after Tina tiptoed down a staircase into a basement that her suspicions about magic were completely confirmed. Here people were practicing spells with wands and conjuring up potions in a cauldron. Curious, Tina introduced herself to the most magical looking sim she could find. Pale and with bright pink hair, her name was Elphaba, and as a fan of the Wicked musical, Tina knew that she'd met someone very, very cool. As they sat and talked, Elphaba seemed to think the same about Tina. You see, Elphaba could sense an underlying power from within the icon in front of her, and after they became closer from chatting, Elphaba let Tina know that she believed her to have an ancient bloodline, which of course was all too true. She went on to explain that normally she makes wannabe spellcasters chase moats around the magic realm before allowing them to become spellcasters, but seeing as Tina had an ancient bloodline, she would make her a spellcaster instantly whenever she wanted. Tina jumped at the opportunity, and before she knew it, power was flowing through her body as Elphaba unlocked the magical floodgates and officially turned her into a spellcaster. The pair chatted for a little while longer, with Tina asking Elphaba to teach her a potion recipe and subsequently learning to make the potion of plentiful needs. She even asked about the possibility of using magic to revive her mother Sally, and Elphaba explained that while she's knowledgeable in mischief magic, untamed magic that a sage named Morgan Ember specializes in is what she seeks, adding that a certain high-level potion will also be of particular interest to her. Tina left the magic realm and raced off to work in the very non-magical tech guru career, where she was promoted to a .com pioneer at rank 9 of the startup entrepreneur branch. After returning home, Tina paid her bills, which were astonishingly over 5,000 simoleons, and she then took to the cauldron in her bedroom and began experimenting, eager to uncover more potion recipes. It was in this moment that Tina swapped over to the purveyor of potions aspiration, seeing as one of her main focuses was on mastering that area of magic. She also took some time to purchase the frugal reward trait for 2,000 satisfaction points, eager to reduce her household bills which were becoming prohibitively expensive. While experimenting, Tina discovered the recipe for the potion of good fortune. I mean, it really did help that the ancient bloodline trait she inherited at birth increased how fast she gained spellcaster experience and awarded her with more spellcaster talent points. And speaking of experience and talent points, experimenting on her cauldron for a while saw Tina rank up from an apprentice to a neophyte spellcaster, and she used her first 2 talent points to obtain the Blender Arm and Experimenter perks. The former would increase potion crafting speed, while the latter would increase experience gained from experimenting on a cauldron and practicing spells. Tina spent some time that night fixing up her needs and adding a cute dining area to her house. Also yes, the axolotl trinket was a necessity. And after diving into more potion experimenting throughout the night, when the sun rose in the morning she decided to venture back to the magic realm. While she could use her glimmerstone that Elphaba had given her when she'd first become a spellcaster, she instead decided that this time she wanted to walk. And it was as she stepped out of her house that Tina noticed something peculiar. The house next door looked completely different, almost as if it had been unveiled from a cloaking spell that hid it from those that weren't spellcasters. How strange. Tina continued on to the magic realm, picking up a few new outfits along the way. After arriving, she quickly made her way upstairs to a cauldron where she began experimenting, admiring her new outfits in the process. While it wasn't a complete wardrobe revamp, it was an effort to become more in tune with her magical self. Then more experimenting led to Tina ranking up to an acolyte spellcaster, and with 3 talent points to spend, she decided on discharge to help control her magical charge, insightful eye to boost research, experimenting, and tome reading speeds, as well as spellcaster socialite, because who doesn't want to unlock new interactions that provide spellcaster experience? I mean, Tina loves a chat. By now, Tina was well and truly onto the second stage of the Purveyor of Potions aspiration, and as she stirred her cauldron, she spotted someone of interest. It was the Master of Untamed Magic that Elphaba had mentioned, Morgan Ember, and let's just say the word hottie doesn't do them justice. Tina introduced herself and instantly won over a new friend, and she then asked for help in reviving her mother Sally. Morgan explained that for this she'd want to learn 2 untamed magic spells. First, she would need the Necrocall spell to call forth Sally's ghost at will. She would then want to follow this up with the De-Deathify spell that would return Sally back to her human form. But a problem still remained, as Sally had passed away from old age. Even if she was brought back from the brink, she'd be sent right back to it in due course, and so Morgan suggested learning to craft a potion of immortality, which would allow Sally to remain as an elder for eternity. After the helpful chat, Tina asked Morgan to teach her some untamed magic, and they obliged, teaching her the Chilio spell. Look, it wasn't one of the 2 untamed magic spells that they just told Tina that she needed, but at least it was something. Morgan then suggested that Tina check out Caster's Alley, and she did just that. After traveling to the shopping strip, Tina found it lined with magical shops run by ghosts, with each store brimming with trinkets and magical essentials, from wands to broomsticks, familiar orbs, potion ingredients, and spell teaching tomes. There was simply so much for Tina to discover, and she purchased a wide range of magical collectibles. She decided on a magical mop as her broom of choice because she liked the bubbles that it made, before turning her attention to wands. She felt that none of the wands on sale were quite as unique, rare, or iconic as the Moonwood wands that she'd uncovered as a werewolf, and she decided to choose one of her Moonwood wands to be her preferred wand of choice. Then after practicing untamed magic for a little while, Tina reached a mini milestone when she unlocked the Necrocall spell that she was seeking. That's right, the puzzle pieces were already falling into place, and she couldn't wait to tell her mother Sally about the complete picture. On top of this, Tina unlocked the Inferniate and Zip Zap spells while training too, which was a nice bonus. The clock had ticked just past 10 PM when Tina used her magic mop to return home, struggling a little bit in the process, and after some light magical decorating, she began experimenting on her cauldron, hoping to uncover more recipes. Though unfortunately, even after a couple of hours, she hadn't learnt a thing. Sally came to join Tina by the cauldron at around 3 AM, and so Tina explained her plan to permanently revive her as she worked. Tina thought Sally would be thrilled, but she just seemed so apathetic towards the whole thing before she then went and mourned herself. Did she not believe that Tina could do it? Tina would show her. After hanging out with Sally for a little longer and fixing her needs, come morning after Sally returned to her urn, Tina decided to visit the magical house that had seemingly appeared from nowhere. Curious, she knocked on the door, and to her surprise she was let in. Here she met Charmaine Emerald, and after becoming best friends instantly thanks to Tina's many friendship-boosting traits, Charmaine then offered Tina a massage. You see, Charmaine and her husband Astreus loved pampering themselves as much as they loved magic. But despite there being many things that she loved, Charmaine also let slip that her husband was not one of them. Tina briefly spied on and introduced herself to Astreus before leaving. She felt like things were getting incredibly messy way too fast, and she questioned whether she really wanted to be the one to break up another couple right after she'd ruined the Landcrab's marriage. She needed time to think. Tina used her Glimmerstone to travel to the magic realm before tracking down both Elphaba and Morgan Ember, asking both of them to teach her a new potion recipe, and following this she learnt how to make the potion of perk purging and the potion of magical aura. They weren't quite what she was after, but every potion learnt was a step closer to uncovering the potion of immortality that she seeked. Learning these new potions also saw Tina complete the second stage of the Purveyor of Potions aspiration, and following a little bit more magical training, Tina ascended to the next spellcaster rank as an adept spellcaster. Tina funneled 2 of the talent points that she'd obtained into frugal combination and a little extra chemistry, which would occasionally save her some potion ingredients and also give her potions a little added benefit. She put the final point into Tame the Untamable, which would make untamable magic spells that she cast become a lot more reliable and fail much less overall. After some more magical training, Tina learnt the Minionize spell before meeting a fellow spellcaster named Grace, and following some shopping at Caster's Alley where Tina ran herself broke buying magical trinkets, she was itching to put the many new spells that she learnt to use. She travelled to her ex-boyfriend Sergio's house and peeked around the back. Seeing the barbecuing, she decided to help the cooking along with a little Inferniate. Now I honestly thought this failed at first because Tina couldn't cast spells over the wall, but then I looked away for literally 2 seconds and the next thing I knew Sergio was on fire. I was like, crap, I better put him out. But then because Tina hadn't technically been let into the house, she seemingly couldn't. And because there was a fire on the lot, she wasn't allowed into the house and couldn't knock on the door. Not to mention the Chillio spell seemingly wasn't working either. On top of this, Sergio's roommate, who I previously thought was his brother, was absolutely useless in this crisis and wouldn't even try to put out the fire. And so Sergio legit died. I'm not kidding when I say that this was really not part of the plan, but it was what it was, and the Grim Reaper was really chill about the whole thing. While Tina wasn't allowed into the house to plead for Sergio or cry over his death, some random townie kinda was. Awkwardly, with Sergio dead, I now had another, potentially even bigger problem. I couldn't reach the fire to put it out, and I couldn't leave the lot until the fire was gone. And so while everyone freaked out, I tried one more time to do everything that I could to put out the fire, but Tina was all like, sorry, I can't reach that. And so I was a little stuck looking through the frosted window as the Grim Reaper had a dance as I waited for the fire to naturally burn out, which took, well, kind of forever. It spread indoors over time and really just kept blazing while Tina stood around in the snow unable to leave the lot. Sergio's roommate Joaquin was starting to smell really bad too, and Tina was furious because he was still refusing to do anything to help put out the fire, even after she did everything that she could to help try and put some fear and action into him. An opportunity rose when the fire spread to outside the fenced yard, as it was then that Tina could finally call the fire department to deal with the blaze. I mean, by now it had been so long that even the Grim Reaper was freaking out. Now the firefighters didn't even put out the fire properly, and even when Tina's workday started, she couldn't leave the lot to get to work either. By now, Tina was in the same mood as Joaquin, who had passed out on the floor. She had simply had enough. By a stroke of pure luck, the fire completely spread to outside the fence. And so Tina was finally able to use her Chillio spell to put it out. And following this, she immediately rushed off to work a couple of hours late. Following work, Tina took a moment to fix up her needs and rotate out her hematite jewelry so that she would remain death-proof. And she then travelled back to Sergio, well, Joaquin's house, where she was surprised to see him still using the barbecue. And also that all the furniture had been replaced. So speedy. More importantly, Tina had come to snap up Sergio's grave. She wasn't entirely sure what she was going to do with it yet, but she knew that she wanted to have it in her possession. She popped it on the kitchen counter because she wasn't sure where else to put it, and then got to work experimenting in her cauldron for the rest of the night. where she discovered how to create the potion of nausea, the potion of the nimble mind, and the potion of masterful insults, all the while making progress towards ranking up to a master spellcaster. A little bored, Tina then cooked up some food in her cauldron before using her glimmerstone to return to the magic realm. She immediately ventured to Caster's Alley, where she purchased more familiar orbs, wands, and brooms, choosing to make a classic wood broom her broom of choice. As amazing as the magic mop was, it was time to move on. Tina was making fast work of the magical artifacts collection, and importantly she also bought a heap of potion ingredients, including a range of metals, fish, produce, and even my sim trophies. She took a moment to practice Untamed Magic for a little longer after her shop, and this saw her learn the Decursify spell. Tina's Untamed spellbook was filling up fast, however she was yet to uncover the De-Deathify spell that Morgan had told her of. Following this, she flew back to the main building and went to visit Elphaba in the basement. And after some chatter, Tina asked Elphaba to provide her with some magical training. Elphaba agreed, and under her guidance, Tina excelled. Also yes, Elphaba prefers to train her students while looking away from them at all times. It's a whole thing. Following her training, Tina asked Elphaba to teach her another potion recipe, and in doing so learnt to create the potion of alluring aura. And it was after this that Tina met the sage of practical magic, Simeon Silversweater. Tina remained respectful as she chatted, but deep down she really wanted to give that man a diva makeover. Anyway, Tina then turned her attention back to the Purveyor of Potions aspiration, and in particular how it required her to brew potions 5 times. She headed up to the rooftop and got to work magically mixing an all too important brew that was too useful to overlook. That's right, the Potion of Plentiful Needs. Drinking this concoction would instantly max all of Tina's needs, and so she really wanted to stock up on it. After creating 4 separate batches, she finished up with 16 doses of the potion. And to stop it from becoming too broken, I won't be brewing any more potions of plentiful needs throughout the series. Well, unless I'm using them as decorations. For the final potion batch, Tina mixed together the potion of the nimble mind, which drinking would help to temporarily increase the speed that Sims gain skills. Mixing the 5th potion batch saw Tina complete the 3rd stage of the Purveyor of Potions aspiration, and it was while mixing that she also ranked up to a master spellcaster, earning 3 more talent points in the process. She chose to spend her points on Mix Master, which would mean that she'd now brew 6 doses of potion at a time as opposed to 4, as well as Power Shunt so that her spells would generate less charge, and finally magical discounts to slash the price of magical items in Caster's Alley by 50%. Because Tina, well, she be purchasing a lot. Overall, it was really nice to see her spellcaster perks tree starting to fill out. Following this, Tina went downstairs and continued experimenting, uncovering the details of both the Potion of Forced Friendship and the Potion of the Transcendent Charmer, all the while making progress towards being a virtuoso ranked spellcaster, which was now the final task required to fully complete the Purveyor of Potions aspiration. Of course, there was a task at hand that was even more important, being to learn the required spells and potions to permanently revive Sally. At 6 AM, Tina flew over to Caster's Alley and purchased some more magical collectibles, making good use of the 50% sale that she now receives. And then exhausted after doing so much, Tina returned home, where she drank a potion of plentiful needs to max out all 6 of her need bars before then spending the day digging up various collectibles around Glimmerbrook. And it was as Tina dug up a time capsule that I sensed an opportunity. Tina now had 20 mysterious time capsules which would each contain a My Sim trophy, and when it came to My Sim trophies, she had already obtained 16 of the 20 total in the collection. After gazing into the sky with her telescope, Tina lined up all 20 of her mysterious time capsules and began a mass opening. I won't lie, I really thought that this was my ticket to finishing off the collection, but the reality was that it only delivered 2 of the 4 My Sim trophies that were still needed alongside a whole heap of duplicates. While it wasn't ideal, it was still progress, and following this, Tina took the time to practice Untamed Magic, looking to make some progress in another area. She did just that, because a few more hours of casting spells resulted in Tina unlocking the all too important De-Deathify spell, and learning this meant that the only thing holding her back from reviving her mother was figuring out how to brew a potion of immortality. Tina felt like a celebration was in order, and so she called up the rather iconic iconic Daryl and invited him to a night out at the Moonlight Cinemas. Daryl was thrilled, and so too was Tina, in part because she got to dress up in her disco ball outfit for the occasion. It was as Daryl pushed Tina on the swing that she casually told him about how her ex-boyfriend Sergio had been a douchebag and tried to use her to progress in his career, and how because of this she was now single. She may have omitted the fact that she'd also accidentally murdered him, but Tina really didn't feel like this was important information to share. And as the pair watched a movie together that night, Tina once again reminded Daryl how she was now single. He wasn't taking the hint. Tina was a little annoyed. Like, she knew he was unflirty, but she also knew that this was an amazing opportunity for him to date someone iconic. It would be a great relationship, because Tina knew that if she could compromise and look past Daryl's ski glasses now, Daryl would also be able to compromise and look past the fact that she murdered her ex-boyfriend when she eventually told him. Unfortunately, Tina didn't leave the movie night with a new boyfriend as she'd hoped. And after returning home, she strengthened Sergio's connection to the physical world before making an offering for a sugar skull, which was sadly rejected. For the rest of the night, Tina experimented on her cauldron, eager to learn new recipes and become an even more powerful spellcaster. And she did just that, uncovering the recipes for the potion of curse cleansing, the potion of emotional stability, the potion of rejuvenation, as well as the potion of prompt resurrection, all in the early hours of the morning. There was now just one potion that Tina hadn't discovered, and of course it was the elusive potion of immortality that she actually needed. As the sun began to rise, Tina absorbed some energy from her charged crystals before making and enjoying some French toast to keep her needs high. And then at 10 AM it was time for work. Here Tina ensured that she worked hard and even got a performance boost thanks to her responsible trait. Because of all this, after finishing up for the day, she was promoted to the top of the tech guru career as a startup genius. Thanks to her many career-boosting traits, she was paid over 1,000 simoleons an hour here. Not to mention, she also got a massive promotion bonus too. And while Tina was ready to change up her career now that she'd reached the top, she first wanted to head into work one last time the following day to secure another large paycheck. Following work, Tina changed into more appropriate attire and used her Glimmerstone to travel to the magic realm. Here she purchased some more goods at Caster's Alley and even managed to find some rare rocket brooms on sale. She bought and then set one of them as her preferred broom before flying to the dueling grounds, which was an area filled with an immensely powerful magical aura. And while soaking up this aura, Tina trained throughout the night. It was this training that saw Tina rank up for the final time as a spellcaster, reaching the all-powerful virtuoso spellcaster rank and completing the purveyor of potions aspiration in the process. Finishing this aspiration awarded Tina with the master mixer trait, which will see potions rarely fail when being used on herself. After swapping to the spellcraft and sorcery aspiration and immediately completing the first milestone, she then turned her attention to spending the 4 talent points that she'd been awarded with. She firstly picked up Potent Potables, which is a powerful perk that increases the effects of all potions, and also allows one to hex their potions to make them fail. She then grabbed Spectral Reach so that she could sneakily cast spells from far away, Master Caster to make her spellcasting more stable and have less backfires, and finally Master Duelist, which would increase Tina's chance of winning duels and help her to reap better and more rewards, something that was soon to become quite important. After having reached max rank, Tina just had one thing on her mind: figuring out the recipe to craft the potion of immortality. Tina flew back to the main building and tracked down Elphaba. She then asked her if she would teach her a potion recipe, and seconds later the information needed to craft the potion of immortality flew into Tina's mind. Wanting to complete her Untamed Magic spellbook, Tina then searched for Morgan Ember, and somehow, and I legit cannot tell you how, 4 spellcasters ended up in the world's smallest bathroom. After moving to the kitchen with Morgan, she then asked him to teach her the ultimate Untamed Magic spell, and he did just that, with Tina picking up the all-powerful Duplicado spell. And just like that, Tina had now learned how to cast every Untamed spell and brew every magical potion. After a quick trip to Caster's Alley to purchase some of the new day stock of magical items, Tina then returned home and quickly used her computer to purchase a diamond before paying her rather expensive bills and then deciding to treat herself for becoming a virtuoso spellcaster by attaining a familiar. Tina had already acquired multiple familiar orbs at this stage, and for her first familiar, she decided to bind a glow frog named Frogelda, who was well known as being the most glamorous glow frog in all the glow frog lands. Though truthfully, while Tina would never tell Frogelda, she had chosen her because she seemed a little dorky and because she was a familiar species that many spellcasters overlooked. Tina then went to work, and upon returning home and drinking a potion of plentiful needs to max her mood, it was time to get down to business. Tina headed on inside, and with Frogelda looking over her shoulder, she started brewing the potion of immortality, being sure to mix the ingredients perfectly, before then carefully bottling up the mixture once her concoction was complete. After taking a moment to build up her spellcaster charge, mostly just for fun, she was then ready. As the sun fell and made way for a rainy night, Tina approached Sally's urn before casting the Necrocall spell. At first it seemed like nothing had happened, but in reality Sally's ghost had somehow been summoned in the middle of nowhere, and as Tina had a mini freakout, Sally was en route, slowly gliding her way back to Tina's house. Once united, Tina relayed to Sally her plan, and how she was now ready to bring her back to life. A glimmer appeared in Sally's see-through eyes, and her mood seemed to lift. Then, in an act that she felt she might regret, Tina invited Sally's ghost to join her household, and she did just that. The plan was going well, and it was time for the next stage. After chatting to Sally and settling her nerves, Tina cast the De-Deathify spell on her, which immediately brought Sally back to human life from her previously ghostly form. And as an added bonus, casting this spell then completed the second stage of the spellcraft and sorcery aspiration. Now Tina's job wasn't done, because left in her current state, Sally would simply age and pass away again. It was time for the final part of the plan. Tina handed Sally a potion of immortality to drink, and trusting in her daughter, Sally sculled it. In doing so, Sally was granted the immortality trait, which would permanently prevent death from old age. You might be thinking, why not have Tina drink this so she gets the trait too? Well, she will, but only at the end of the series, because having this trait also makes an infinity symbol commonly appear around, above, or even inside your Sim's head periodically, and none of us want to watch the rest of the series with that visual. Also, yes, for some reason Sally celebrated her immortality by showering in the rain in front of a stranger and then talking to herself while holding an invisible umbrella. What can I say? She's back. Tina immediately prepared a guest bedroom for Sally, although secretly she was about to start seriously house hunting to move her out ASAP. As much as Tina loved Sally, she was, well, a lot to deal with, and maybe too much to live with. And Tina found another thing to deal with as she headed upstairs that night. Sergio had appeared in ghost form. Crap, she'd forgotten about him. In good news, having brought back Sally, she absolutely had the means to bring back Sergio. But then another thought came into Tina's mind. Did she actually want to? Was Sergio's death a tragic mistake that she had to correct? Or was Sergio gone for a reason, a season, and quite frankly, a lifetime? These were the questions on Tina's mind, and she'd kind of like your help in answering them. Stay tuned, because a poll will be going live in a few days where you'll get to have your say in determining Sergio's fate. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed, then consider subscribing to stay up to date with the series, and I hope you have an amazing day. See you later.